Hello, and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Ari and I'm an aspiring author. And if you're not new here, I am so glad you're back. I forgot to film an intro to this vlog. So this vlog is going to be a cozy, wintry vlog where we're working on Act 1 of my eco-fantasy novel, Pretend the Earth Doesn't Call. And if you're new here, Pretend the Earth Doesn't Call is my eco-fantasy novel with found family and political conspiracies. I hope you enjoy the vlog. Let's take it back all the way to December 12th. This coffee is like 7 hours old. I made it this morning before I started work. No ice, lukewarm. Why am I drinking it at 4 p.m.? I just logged off of work for the day and I have some writing updates for you. If you haven't watched my last video, go ahead and watch my last video. I am switching gears to revising my fantasy novel, Pretend the Earth Doesn't Call. I'm picking it up again after having let it rest for like 4 months. What I'm working on now is I'm working on the outline a little bit, and my goal is to have like a very targeted outline. And obviously, me being me, I can't stay on task, and I got a little bit too excited and I started writing. I wrote the prologue and I am almost done with chapter 1. And I think what I want to do is like outline the chapter and then write the chapter, because I'm very much like a gut writer and I don't like outlining like way far ahead. Even though this is kind of like my third round through the book, it's not actually like a third draft. This is what I'm drafting right now is what I would call like a legit first draft. I know it's very confusing. I'm kind of just like chaotic like that, but I don't like outlining super far ahead. Like I know the main plot beats, I know my inciting incident, my pinch points, my first plot point, my midpoint, all that good stuff. But all of the twists and turns that happen in between, like I think I want to really try to write the scene really cleanly, and then outline the next scene and then try to write the scene really cleanly. So I wrote the prologue. It's honestly really short, and I was debating for a really long time whether I even wanted a prologue, because I feel like prologues are kind of controversial. And I do think a lot of the times they're not necessary. My prologue is very short. It's like 400 words long. Maybe I'll read you a little bit from it. Okay, I'm gonna read the first couple sentences. The earth sat heavy underneath her nail beds, the dirt fresh and wet, her cuticles coated in a rim of black. It had been an age since Zeem had been at the surface. Her slumber had been long and restful, though she could remember an unease peeking through, oily and viscous, even penetrating the lightless depths of her dreams. I think it does build intrigue, which is what I want it to do, and then chapter 1 actually like switches POV. So the prologue is kind of like the only time you get the POV from a character that comes in later. And chapter 1 right now, like I have a very clear goal for the scene, very clear conflict, very clear disaster. One of the things I really want to try to get down with this draft in particular is to really have the chain of events of like problem solving. Something that I like to think about when I'm writing is a story is a character trying to solve a problem, a series of problems. What plots are basically a chain of problem solving. So like a character on a scene level is going to go into a scene and have a goal, and then there's going to be a conflict, something that gets in the way of that character achieving that goal. It's going to either make it harder for them to achieve the goal, but they achieve their goal, or they're going to have to problem solve, figure it out from there. And so what I really want to do going in is make sure that every single scene has conflict. What I want to do with this outline and be very mindful and intentional of what every scene's conflict is. I want to make sure I have a goal. I want to make sure I have a conflict, so that at the micro level, I have mini arcs for each of my scenes that kind of string together to make like the macro arc of the story. I can talk about story arcs at the micro and macro level and like fractals and how that works in stories, and maybe I'll make a separate video about it. If you want, comment down below, let me know if that's something that you're interested in. Right now, I think I'm just taking a lot of time on chapter 1 because there's a lot of world building that has to happen. I also really do want to build that intrigue and build that world building, and also give kind of like the character context. And normally I would be like, like don't worry about chapter 1, just kind of like breeze through it. Chapter 1's the chapter that usually winds up changing, but for this draft, like I do really want a clean draft. And so if one scene winds up taking me a couple days, like I'm really fine with that. I think I've been working on this scene for 2-3 days, and the scene's at 1536 words at the moment. So I'm almost done, and I just want to get it really clean, and then I'm going to outline scene 2 and then get to writing scene 2. I'm really excited for how it's going to turn out. But yeah, I just wanted to give you a little update. So far, chapter 1 is going pretty well. I'm taking my time, but I like slowing down and I like being really intentional with the story. So far so good. Hello, hello. It is Friday, December 20th. It is fully holiday season and I am just so ready to turn my brain off and all I want to do is write. So I think I'm going to draft a little bit and I'm going to take you guys with me. I really want to do a desk makeover and I recently just got my first mechanical keyboard and I am obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with it. Let me show it to you. I mean, she is so cute. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Diderot effect, but it basically means like when you buy one thing, sometimes it can turn into like a snowball effect where you wind up buying a bunch of other things. And I feel like that is currently happening to me. I invested in a really beautiful standing desk because I work from home and I really wanted a good workstation, a workstation that I loved and that was ergonomic. So let me give you a little bit of a desk space tour. And then I want to show you kind of what I don't love about it. So this is my desk. It is a standing desk. I have 3 monitors, 2 vertical monitors here and 1 giant big screen here. This desk I'm absolutely obsessed with. I actually built it myself. I ordered the bottom from Uplift Desk and I just ordered like a butcher's block desk top because I knew the dimension that I wanted. I wanted it to fit between my couch and my kitchen. And if I had bought this pre-made, it would have cost me like thousands of dollars, but actually between buying the legs and the butcher block, it was under $1,000, which is still a lot of money to spend on a desk. But I was very much like, okay, like this is an investment. I work remote, so I spend 8 hours at this desk anyway. And then my hobby is writing. So I'm spending even more hours at this desk. I don't know. It's just like a lot of screen. And I kind of want to do like a little bit of a mini makeover because I just feel like this desk is so big and wonderful and I love it, but I feel like I'm not optimizing the space efficiently, if that makes sense. I'm gonna think about it and try to figure out like how I want to set this up. I just don't know. I don't know what would be like efficient or like aesthetically pleasing because right now it's just a whole lot of screen. I feel like I'm just wasting a ton of space. I don't know. Maybe this is also fine. I just kind of am like, I want this to be more aesthetic. Let me give you a writing update. So I am currently on chapter 3. So I have written, let me pull my outline up. I have written 2 scenes and basically the way that I've been drafting it because I want a really clean draft. Like I take that outline that I showed you before and I write it all out just like as it comes to me, making sure that I hit those kind of points. And then I'll go in again and I'll edit at the line level. And I'm trying not to be super picky. I think I was super picky at the line level for chapter 1, but I think for chapter 2, I was a little picky, but I was kind of like, you know, we kind of like need to pick up the pace a bit. I've sped up a little bit. Let's see how much I've written so far. Okay, so far, I think the last time I updated you in my like, you know, how many words I wrote in 2024, I had written about 5,000. I'm up to 7,423 words of this draft at the moment. So yeah, scene 2 was kind of chunky. I think it was about 2,400 words. And I'm about to start chapter 3. And I think chapter 3, up until this point, scenes 1 and 2 were just like 1 scene per chapter. But I think for chapter 3, it's going to be 2 scenes in that chapter. So I'm going to go ahead, start drafting it a bit, and you guys can enjoy the ASMR of my gorgeous keyboard. So huge. Okay. Dog is over 40 pounds at this point. He's like a little too big to be sitting on my lap. It is Sunday, December 22nd, and so far I am about 500 words into drafting today. Yeah, 450 words. I've been writing for like a couple hours. I honestly have a problem. I went to Sephora twice this week and I got so many things. I don't know how to pronounce this. It's like this glowy super gel in Star Glow, which I'm really excited to use. I'm honestly not a big makeup person. I don't really wear a ton of makeup. I like never wear foundation and stuff like that, but the consumerism got to me this week. So quick writing update, I'm about 450 words into drafting chapter 3 so far. So the way that I have been drafting, and it's been pretty successful, I want to say, is I go into my Excel spreadsheet, I outline the scene, and I fill in all of those columns, and then I'll go ahead and like write the scene. And so chapter 3 is really interesting because it's the first chapter that actually it wasn't just one scene for one chapter. There's actually 2 scenes in this chapter because one of the scenes it's just a smaller scene that doesn't deserve its own chapter. I'm kind of doing every single scene as like 2 drafts. So like the first time I draft it, it's like a messy first draft, and then I go through and I actually like clean it up. And the reason I'm doing that, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do it for the entire draft, it just feels really good to get it into like a very readable shape at this point, and I think it's doing a lot to make me feel good about the story so far. So it's taking me a while. Like, it's not a 0 draft at all. It's taking me a while to draft, but it feels better. It feels like it's book shape, making me feel good about proceeding forward with the draft. So I've been sprinting for like maybe about an hour and a half. I'm just gonna keep writing. I have gone from having absolutely 0 mechanical keyboards to 2 mechanical keyboards. I have a second one, and this is the first mechanical keyboard I've ever built myself. It was so intimidating, but so much fun, so addictive. Like, listen to this. And it's so nice to type on. Ugh, I now have 2 keyboards, so a little excessive of me. I'm moving really slow, but because I'm moving slowly, it's making me feel like every step that I'm taking in this draft, I'm feeling confident in. Like, there's a lot of intentionality behind a lot of the decisions that I've been making in this draft. And so it feels really good, and I can see how this world is like really being pulled together. And even though this is kind of like the first clean first draft, it's making me realize how much work has actually really gone into this story so far because I've done that 0 draft and because I've done that dialogue first draft. Right now, the way that I'm approaching it, it feels very targeted, and so I'm very, very pleased with how it's going at the moment. Let's continue writing. I will check in with you guys soon. We're going for like a real preppy vibe today. Okay, so update. Today is Saturday, December 28th. So right now the word count for December is at 13,450 words, and I am almost done writing chapter 4 of Pretend the Earth Doesn't Call. And you can see here, this is my outline. And if you haven't watched my previous video where I go through my in-depth outlining process, I'll go ahead and link that. I've been really sticking to my outline, and it's been so helpful. I go ahead, I outline my scene with the template that I provided in my last video, and I'm very detailed. I make sure I take time to plan and think ahead to make sure that each column is really thought out. Once I have that full scene outlined, I'll go ahead and write the scene, and then once that scene is done, I'll go ahead and plan out the next scene. Because for 0 drafts, I'm really like a pantser. Like, I like to discover the story. I like to see where the story takes me, and right now I'm not writing a 0 draft of Pretend the Earth Doesn't Call. It's kind of technically a second draft, but I'm calling it like a clean first draft. I know what the story is, but I need to get it into readable shape for eyes that aren't just my own. So this has been really helpful because I'm not the type of person that I like outlining a whole novel in depth in advance. And so this is kind of like headlights outlining, I want to call it, where I know exactly what I'm about to write, but the scene after that, I need to plan and think and then outline that. And it's also really lovely because it means that I have an outline that I don't have to go back to and edit later, because I'm literally like writing step by step exactly what happens in that scene, and then I write it. And so there's not any edits that have to be made because, you know, things veered a different way. It's like real-time outlining. I have a real-time process for like exactly what is being written in the book, so that if it does come time to like do developmental edits, like after betas or something, like I have such an in-depth and detailed outline that is completely compatible with what my first draft actually is. So I see that as a huge plus. The past 2 days of writing have been really good. I wrote about 1,000 words on December 26th and about 700 words yesterday, and today I'm hoping I can finish chapter 4 and get onto writing chapter 5. Pretty sure that chapter 5 is when my inciting incident occurs. I think this vlog is going to be kind of like the halfway point through Act 1. So I'm really excited. Honestly, the scene that I'm writing right now is like chef's kiss. You know those scenes where you're just like, oh, that's what this scene feels like. So my plan for today is I'm gonna go to Chopped. I'm gonna go get a salad. Then I think I'm gonna go to a coffee shop and try to write a little bit more, and let's see if we can get up to the inciting incident. So I'll check in with you guys soon. Checking in again. I went to Chopped for lunch. I had a delicious harvest bowl, and I went to a brand new coffee shop that I'd never been to before, and the coffee was so good. And I wrote about 500 words, and I wrote a scene where the main character and the love interest finally have the first scene where they can like sit down and talk together. He's like bandaging her wound, and it's really cute, and he comes up with a nickname for her. I'm just sitting there writing and like giggling. I thought the next scene that I was going to write was going to be the inciting incident, but I actually think that it's not. To write one more scene and then is the inciting incident. I'm really happy to say I think the way that I've been outlining and writing is really helping me combat my underwriting, because I'm a very chronic underwriter, especially for draft zeros. I think that this draft 1 is actually not going to be severely underwritten as of Act 1, which I know is not very representative of how the rest of the book is going to go. Still, I am so pleased. I'm going to go home, I'm going to get into some cozy sweatpants, and I'm going to write some more and hang out at home. Okay. Exciting news. I made it to chapter 5, which means that we're up to the inciting incident, and so we're halfway through Act 1, and I'm gonna end the vlog here. It has been such a joy to write like this first half of Act 1, and I feel like the rest of Act 1 is also gonna be really nice, so we're just gonna relish in Act 1 vibes and loving Act 1. When we get to Act 2, we will reassess, but we will push through. But I hope you enjoyed this vlog. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know what stage of writing you are on your project. All right, I'll see you in the next one.